No matter what part of the country they live in, cow-calf producers depend on adequate grass and forage for their cattle. However, invasive species can be a major threat to the profitability of a cattle operation. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter has a look at that problem and some of the ways that producers can fight invasive species and increase their forage production.
From mesquite trees and cactus in the Southwest to cedar trees, locust, and hedge in the Great Plains, invasive woody plants and brush take up moisture and sunlight, crowding out grass and making them the enemies of good cattle grazing.
A recent study conducted by a number of land-grant college or universities and other researchers have shown that the encroachment of woody plant species in the western United States has accounted for a forage loss between 1990 and 2019 to account for about $5 billion worth of forage loss. That forage loss accounts for roughly around 332 million tons of forage. So it's extremely important to control woody plant species. Oftentimes what happens is an individual sees the brush and thinks that it's a problem that's fixing to happen, and oftentimes it's left untreated. That particular situation where it's left untreated develops into a problem that's much more significant, harder to control, and much more impactful when it comes to forage production. Corteva is extremely fortunate to have one of the most diverse portfolios in terms of products that you can address brush. We've got products that give you the flexibility to tailor and address specific needs, but we also have products that give you the flexibility to treat at different windows. So an example of that would be Remedy and Remedy Ultra.
Benny Martinez works with ranchers and landowners in Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas. Here, the threat posed to grass production by mesquite is clear.
It's a problem because it's really built for this type of environment. It can withstand droughts. It can withstand just seasonal rain opportunities. It's a very opportunistic plant. It's a plant that is highly competitive, utilizes moisture very extensively throughout a long period of time during the growing season. So competitive-wise, it's highly competitive against forages.
Mesquite creates lots of problems with canopy cover and not letting grass grow. So it's just a constant battle of trying to get rid of it. It's important to control the brush just to create more grazing, more open area for cattle and wildlife itself too.
Callaghan Ranch stretches across 90,000 acres in South Texas brush country. They graze a cow-calf herd and lease a significant portion of their land for hunting. And they have a never-ending fight against mesquite.
We usually shred back years ago. And here in recent years, we've been using herbicide more just because it's something you can come in here and spray once and forget about it for a little while. While if you're mechanical, you got to come back and shred every year, and it hurts a pocketbook. And some of our big pastures, we've been spraying aerial spraying, and we've been spraying strips across the whole pasture. So the strip is 350 foot wide, and we'll skip 700 foot and then do another 350 foot wide strip. Basically, this creates, you still leave some of your habitat for deer, some grazing for cattle, and create that edge in between strips.
Those large strips of mesquite have been sprayed from the air with Sendero herbicide from Corteva.
Sendero tends to be much more selective, and that's really important for producers in the Southwest. We're often in a place where we have to manage for not only cattle but for wildlife as well. The wildlife component is a significant revenue source for South Texas ranchers. And because it is a significant revenue source, we have to be mindful of those secondary species that are very important to wildlife. Sendero gives you the flexibility to be very targeted when it comes to treating mesquite. It will selectively target mesquite, but it's fairly safe on some of those other desirable species that are really, really important from a wildlife perspective.
Sendero's been really good. I mean, it's been over the years. We've sprayed it for probably the last 8 years now, and we've had really good response over the years. It's a very economical way to get rid of mesquite.
The Callaghan Ranch team also uses IPT or individual plant treatments in areas where mesquite stands are less dense or to maintain areas after an aerial application. The result has been a solid kill on targeted plants and a significant increase in their grass production.
The economics today are really good when it comes to trying to implement a brush control program, especially as you consider what it costs to replace that land. Target that brush before it becomes a significant problem. The cost of economics is pretty good in terms of your return on investment, because land is not cheap. It's often very economical when you start considering the cost of a treatment versus replacing that land with new land that's open and productive.
One of the game changers in the fight to control mesquite has been a powerful tool from Corteva called LandVisor Advanced Brush Management.
LandVisor offers a solution that helps address targeting brush in a more systematic approach. It allows us to look at the landscape in a different way that we've never been able to look at the landscape. And it also allows us to be very targeted in terms of the application timing that really result in better performance of the herbicide treatment.
I came across LandVisor, actually Benny Martinez brought it up to our attention, and I really liked the program itself. I mean, it was a great program. Looking at it, kind of helps you target the spots of more density, where mesquite's more dense.
LandVisor uses mapping, data points, digital technology, and remote sensing to provide insights that help ranchers and land managers customize their approach to targeting plants and spraying brush.
LandVisor, yes, it helps us make some real good decisions on where we want to spray, when we want to spray, and what part of the pasture is the most productive.
It gives what we call actionable insights that allow the producer to see various maps to show them where mesquite density exists on their pasture. It also has the opportunity to overlay different layers, so you can see your soil types and your mesquite density overlaid to get a really good feel for where it might be most appropriate to implement a strategy to control brush in an existing area to get a better return on investment.
Aimed first at mesquite, LandVisor will ultimately be a tool land managers across the country will be able to use against a variety of invasive species. In Texas, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
It's never too soon to evaluate your grazing plans and work towards increased forage production. If you'd like more information about LandVisor and how it can help you make better, more profitable decisions, then visit the website landvisor.com and request a demo.